Welcome back, everyone, to the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast, the Runner United show today. Devil's Advocate, our second show of the day. And for the podcast tonight, I'm joined by two very special guests here today. So to the right of me, I'm joined by Mr. Shane Dowley, podcast regular. And below me, we are joined by Adam from Adam Matic TV. And today we're talking all things Manchester United and all things coming up, building up to the run-in after the international break. I suppose, look, this is our first full-on United podcast since the Leicester game on Sunday. Unfortunately, the game didn't go our way. We were knocked out in the quarter-final rather than the semi. And, all in all, it was a very disappointing result, all things considered, for Manchester United, especially, it was a chance for Ollie to get his first trophy, and we didn't get the job done on the day. I suppose, Adam, was on your show on Sunday. You were asking me literally all the questions in regards to how I felt about the game. Never actually got a chance to ask you, Adam, how you were feeling. So I suppose this is now your opportunity. How are you feeling kind of after the game, like in terms of the result, in terms of the performance, and kind of what stood out for you?
Mate, I'm still that pissed off, mate. I think I'm on about my fifth video after the actual game, still talking about what was going on and what went wrong, mate. It was just one of them performances that just got everyone talking, and the topic carried on for days on end afterwards, dissecting it. And at the end of it, you just got to put it down to the fact that these players now, it doesn't look like they're fully behind what is going on at the football club. That's just how it comes across. It may not be the case. We never know what's going on behind closed doors. But for me, I'm looking at players now. I'm going, there must be some sort of divide between that squad right now, because you've got Eric Bailly kicking off with what he's doing, probably rightly so. Then Donny van der Beek, Diallo being thrown under the bus right at the end there, the substitution. The players that all came in, they were all coming back from injuries, and they all looked knackered, mate. And none of them had ever played together, because Ollie doesn't change his team enough and rotate in the season. And that's how that game just went down. He tried to change too much, and it backfired. And it was easy for Rodgers to navigate his way around Manchester United in that game. And let's not forget, they were missing players as well. But tactic-wise, they knew what they were doing, and Leicester were up for it, and just looked like they wanted it a lot more than what we did. And in the end, the result was probably a fair one. And we can't really complain, mate. We were just crap. Leicester were better. And our players just didn't want it as much as Leicester. That's what it was in the end.
Yeah, look, for me, I looked at that game. It looked like a case of one team wanting it more than the other. I think, obviously, Leicester had 7 days to prepare for the game. United had the Europa League game, and obviously the rotation happened as well Sunday. Now, obviously, when I seen the starting lineup at the time, I done a pre-match show before the actual game itself, and I was kind of happy to see kind of a couple of players rested. But then literally kickoff happened. It just literally came to my head. I was thinking, Jesus Christ, there's an international break now. Why rest the players now? Do you know what I mean? That literally, the penny dropped at me then. I was like, after a couple of minutes in, it's like, Jesus Christ, why isn't Bruno playing? Why isn't Rashford playing? Rashford's gone off with England. He's probably going to start against San Marino. Like, do you know what I mean? When you break it down like that, maybe them two players should have been playing. Now, obviously, like, you look at the Paul Pogba situation with him starting on the weekend. All he said on Friday in the press conference that he wasn't fit to start the game, and then he started Sunday. That's something that didn't sit right with me. It didn't make sense, But look, all in all, I don't think I can make any excuses for Sunday. I think Leicester just massively, dominated us in the midfield. I think Wilfred Ndidi and Tielemans really done a number on our two midfielders. I think they've done a real number on them. Obviously, he looked at the likes of Van der Beek. He looked like he wasn't up to pace. Looked like he was only coming back from a pre-season or something. He looked like someone who was really off the pace. I think that's just due to lack of match practice, match fitness. And then again, you've seen kind of the difference in the team when Luke Shaw is out at the side. Like, he provides that kind of balance on the left-hand side. No, I'm not knocking Telles, because I actually think he was probably one of our better players on Sunday. But all in all, very disappointed, because obviously the FA Cup is a trophy of rich tradition and rich history, and it's a trophy we all wanted to win this season, obviously to be a benchmark to make more progress. But I'm very disappointed, but there's still plenty to play for this season. Obviously, second place, and obviously the Europa League, which when you look at the teams that are remaining in it, surely that has to be a priority now, because it's such a winnable competition. But we know at Manchester United, we never make anything easy for ourselves. We always have to do it the hard way. So hopefully we can beat Granada, then beat Ajax and Roma, and then I'd love to see us get Arsenal in an all English final. That would be the icing on the cake to beat them in the final if that could happen. But Shane, I'm going to come to you on the same point, because obviously we haven't talked really on the phone or even anything that much really since Sunday. We're both been kind of in a bad mood. But for yourself, Shane, like how were you feeling Sunday watching the game? Like, you know, in terms of when you seen Paul Pogba come back from injury and like Ollie basically says he's not fit to play, like, and then he starts. Like, you can understand the magnitude of the game, but do you think like he rested the right players?
Yeah, like I don't really have much to add. Like everything you said, I agree with. But when I saw the 11, I didn't really mind it too much. I was happy he was resting people, but like I didn't even clock it there till you said it, that it's an international break now, so it wasn't really the time to rest him maybe. But it was more so the changes he made during the game that frustrated me more so than the starting 11, because some of the substitutions he made were just so jarring. Like, yeah, it was just really frustrating because we never got going. Even when it was 1-1, like we were never on top. We never had a good spell in the game. So it was really annoying to go out in that fashion, just so easily, so well beat. And it's obviously the big thing with Ollie seems to be like we need to get a trophy under him, and that's another one we're after letting go. So I don't know, man. It's really disappointing. I don't even know what you can say because it feels like we've had so many games like this already this season, and it's just saying the same thing over again. His in-game management is poor. He does rest people, but then he rests them at the wrong time and he rests the wrong players, and I don't know, man. It's just really frustrating, to be honest.
Yeah, and you literally just mentioned in-game management, and it's going to come to one of the comments there straight away. Jamie Gretton says, why didn't he start Fernandes in the FA Cup quarter-final? Ollie's in-game management isn't great. Yeah, look, I mean, I was like on the pre-match show, I seen Fernandes get a start, a rest, and Van de Beek get a start. Look, you can go back and watch the video. Like I was happy to see Fernandes get a rest, but again, when the international break part, that's what just clicks it for me. You rest them at the wrong time, and look, unfortunately now we're out, and there's nothing we can do about it at this moment in time. But again, as I say, it's just one of them times again where this team has capitulated in a big game, and it's happened too many times in the cup competition. Yeah. We seem to beat these teams in the league, and this is the thing. Some like away from home, we go away from home to these teams and we get a result, but in cups we can't do it. And is this a mental block?
It's like last season was very good that we had a good record in the big games, but we always seem to lose the important games last season, especially like we kind of fell over the line to get top 4 last year at the end of the season. We should have really had it wrapped up well before the last game, but it's the same this season. Like just the important games, we just never get it done. Do you know what I mean? And when it was halftime, and we seen the draw at halftime that the winner of this would get Southampton, it was almost so obvious we'd leave it behind us because it opened up for us to get to the final then. So you really fancy your chance against Southampton in the semis, but I don't know, man. Anytime it looks like there's a chance that we could kick on and do something and win something, the players just, I don't know, they seem to bottle it, or Ollie doesn't get it right, or it's both of them. I don't know, but it's the same. It's always the same.
And Adam, do you think it's this mental thing within this squad, kind of the last kind of 22 years now, that we've seen it now, 4 semi-finals, a big quarter-final game, and other occasions in the league to take advantage. Like you've seen, obviously, the Sheffield United and the West Brom games just of note as well. Do you maybe think when this team's fancy to win and this team has an opportunity to progress and actually have something to show for it, that they don't have it mentally? Is it a mentality thing?
It is, mate. It is mentally, mate. We're coming to a stage of the season now where these players are physically burnt out, and it does start to hamper your mental ability and your decision making. And we're seeing that on the pitch. There's no cohesiveness. That does come from Ollie as well, because he keeps playing the same team. And then when he does change it, like you said, it's at the wrong time. And players come in. Bruno gets dropped out. Danny van der Beek comes in. Matic comes in. Martial comes in. Pogba comes in. Telles comes in. I mean, how many games have these guys played together? How many games have these guys played themselves over the last few weeks? The match sharpness is way down. You did that against a tactical manager like Brendan Rodgers, then he knew where he could take risks and take chances. And for me, mentally, this team is flawed completely. It started to give me a bit of confidence around December time when we got to the top of the league, thinking, you know what, maybe they are getting more mentally strong. But it just showed when they got to that level and they got to when it was really important and when it mattered, they shit the bed, mate. It literally shit the bed. And this is what keeps happening with them. Whether this group of players is going to be able to get over this hurdle, I do not know, mate, because the unrest now that is clear in this squad, players not being happy now, knowing that their place in the European Championships this summer is at threat because Ollie simply does not play them, then the Reds are going to be all over the place. And how committed are they to the cause when Ollie does finally bring them on? So, I mean, you've got to question that now. So where are their heads at mentally in terms of fighting for the manager? And where are their heads at thinking, well, Ollie says it's not important to win trophies. We just need consistent, good seasons. Right now, these players are craving a trophy. They're looking for something. And let's not forget, this is the third highest paid football squad in world football. Is it a case that in their heads now and the way the coaching staff in this club is run, that in their heads they're thinking, well, we must still be doing okay because we keep playing every week. We keep getting these contracts every year. So that added to the mental state of the players in terms of can they cope with winning anything. Add the rest of all that mental case that I just brought into it there then in terms of where are their heads at. Championships in the summer. Do they trust in Ollie? Do they think Ollie's the manager that's going to give them a chance then? Because guarantee now, mate, a lot of these players are thinking about the Euros. Fans coming back to the stadiums. They want to put up on a show. They want to be back on the big stage again. Do you know what? It takes a big, strong manager to concentrate the minds. And I don't think every single player's mind is on the cause for this football club right now. It is showing on the pitch, mate. It really is. Because the drop-off is astronomical. It's not like you can excuse it. We made a mistake and lost a game and a tight game. It's going from a performance in the second half against Milan, which was very professional and solid, to absolute garbage. And that is not acceptable, mate. It really isn't. And that is the major concern. And that is a lot down to the mental side of it.
Yeah, and I think this is where it is, and this is why like the thumbnail I think I put behind this video is the time to get behind the manager and players, because this is now a part in the season where I think as a collective, the squad and the coaching staff, everyone, they all need to be singing off the same hymn sheet. And I think when you see the games we have after the international break, like obviously we've the double header against Granada and Europa League, we've Brighton, we've Spurs. These are still like, when you look at Brighton and Spurs, these are two teams who are fighting for two different things. Brighton are fighting to stay in the league at the moment, and Spurs are fighting to just get European football, not even so much Champions League, but even to solidify Europa League. Like, and even maybe if Liverpool or Chelsea capitulate, or West Ham, that they might have a chance at Champions League if they get a couple of results that are together, because they're knocked out in Europa League at the minute. So like, you look at the couple of games that we have coming out of the international break, I just hope, and I'm touching wood right now, that our players come unscathed out of the international break, and then we can obviously get behind the team. And like, this running is so crucial, because you look at the remaining 9 games in the league, we still have to play Leicester, we still have to play Liverpool, we still have to play Spurs. Like, we still have to play great teams, and we have to play teams near the bottom of the table. We're also fighting relegation, so there's not going to be any easy games between now and the end of the season. I think it's very important. Like, I know top 4 probably is wrapped up more or less at this stage, because I don't think any of the teams below us outside the top 4, the likes of the West Ham, Liverpool, Tottenham, I don't think they'll be able to get a consistent run of results, to even go ahead and maybe pip Chelsea to 4th. Not even so much to get second, but even pip Chelsea to 4th. But for us, we need to solidify that second place. I think that's so important. I think you have to look at that second place and say that shows progress from last season from finishing 3rd. But at the same time, you have to look at that second place. This second place shouldn't be, 19, 20 points behind Manchester City, because that's what happened under Jose Mourinho, and then Jose Mourinho wasn't backed. So I think at this point in the season, we have to develop a consistent run in the league, but then also that Europa League is must. Like, we must win that, because you look at the teams that are left in it: Granada, Slavia Prague, Arsenal, Roma, Ajax, all these teams we should be beating on our worst day. Do you know what I mean? Like we can have individual performances that can beat these sides. So I don't see any excuse for not winning the Europa League. Fair enough, the teams that are left in the FA Cup was always going to be an ask to win it. But that Europa League, if you don't win that, there's no excuse.
I don't think we will, though, Thomas, because it's the second year in a row now where the team just look dead on their feet. John, Ollie really needs to look at that, because how he rotates the squad is just so mad. He'll run the players into the ground, and then instead of like consistently resting one or two and keeping the team fresh, he waits till the whole team is run into the ground, and then he makes 5 or 6 changes at once. And you have these players that are coming in and they're rusty, and now like they're not getting a fair shake either, because they're not even playing with the best players. So it's so mad the way he does it. Like, and I agree, like, it's progress if we finish second, but I'm not even fussed about second. I think the big deal was if we to win a trophy, because you say we finished second and we're better than last year, but if you compare, like, I don't think we look that much better now than what we did post Bruno last season. So obviously we've improved what we were for the first 2/3 of last season. That was without Bruno. So I think we look the same team as we did since we signed them last year.
Yeah, I think like you look at it as well, Jamie says it in the comments as well, if we don't start winning trophies, players like Bruno will want to leave. And I think mentality monsters, Adam mentioned this on his show there recently, you have mentality monsters like Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, like I'll even throw Marcus Rashford's name into the hat there as well, who was a top quality player. These players eventually will want to leave the football club if they're not winning trophies. Because at the end of the day, like football players, yes, some of them like money, that's fair enough. But at the end of the day, these football players want a legacy behind them.
Yeah,
they want to be remembered in the right way. And I think for me, you have to look at this and you have to say winning trophies is pivotal for these players to stay at the football club. Because look, at the end of the day, it's all well and good buying mercenaries who will come for the money, like the likes of Alexis Sanchez and all them guys who are at the club. But you want to, like, as fans of the football club, and I think any competent football club, and like you look at the big clubs in the world, they love it, they like a profit, but the end game is winning trophies and being successful, because it's a competitive sport. So you have to say, look, it is pivotal for these players to stay at the football club for the long term. You have to say trophies, are
it's
important.
Funny because what we are now is what, like, the top Reds were calling Poch, Spurs under Poch. We're getting top 4 and they say it's showing progress, but we're not winning anything. And a lot of United fans were turning their nose up at Poch for that, but that's exactly what we're doing now. Except we play worse football. So I did defend Poch in the way that, like, if he won an FA Cup, I don't think it would have changed much, because I rated what he was doing in the leagues, especially when you think like the way Spurs are. But I just looking at this United team, and I do actually think a trophy would change a lot. Would change a lot for this team, like, because it is, a lot of them are young and a lot of them are yet to win in their career, like outside Pogba and Cavani and them. But a lot of them, like, I think a lot of them, the only thing they've won is the FA Cup under Van Gaal. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I just think it's mentally it would change a lot for this team. I don't know.
Yeah. And it gave them that winning feeling that they won't want to lose. Like, you look at in 2006 when we had them young players coming up like Rooney, Ronaldo, and they won the Carabao Cup or whatever it was called back then, Ireland Cup, and then that started the winning feeling in that squad, like the Darren Fletcher, and all them guys in that squad that time. So
even when City won the FA Cup in, I think it was 2011, it's like that first trophy is a big deal for a new squad. Do you know what I mean? Mentally, it just. It would just change a lot for us, but I don't see how we're going to do it, because he continues to mismanage squad and we just can't seem to do it in the important games.
Yeah, and that's where we are bottom at the moment. I'm just going to come to both of you guys. So obviously, look, I done a show earlier on today just with regards to transfers and kind of what I gave my perspective in terms of where I think United need to strengthen to make further progress next season. So I'm going to come to both of you guys just with regards to this. I'll come to you first, Adam. Like, where do you think United need, like, key areas within the starting 11 do you think United need to address to make further progress?
Straight away, CDM's the one place that needs sorting. Ultimately, forget your centre backs. If you're prioritising, it has to be CDM because it's a position that's hampered this football club. We're playing 2 men there now, just to cover one role because they're just both not good enough at doing it themselves. Matic is too old. He's got concrete in his boots. He doesn't move quick enough. And we all seen what indeed he does for Leicester. It gives Tielemans the freedom to play. Can you imagine you brought Pogba back in there alongside a proper player like Ndidi, and how much that would change this team? The link then from defence to attack to Bruno. Instead, Bruno's trying to feed Rashford and Martial off the back of passes from Fred and McTominay. It's just, we need that better quality there. And yeah, it will come down to Pogba staying fit. Don't get me wrong. And that is a big ask because he's probably got one of the worst injury records in our club at the moment.
Yeah.
Or I think ultimately it has to be a holding midfielder. As for Declan Rice, that Jamie says there, I don't know. I'm still undecided. I really am. I'm still not quite there. I've got the ultimate fear of a player from a lower team in our division that's just going to come to United and just get completely blown away by it. I mean, I know West Ham has its own pressures and stuff like that, but it's the ultimate fear. I know people would say that with Ndidi, but I'm watching Ndidi quality every single season. I would prefer Ndidi. I could see us going for Rice, don't get me wrong, definitely not. But in terms of positions, you know what? If it was one player that came in this summer and we had to spend big on one position, CDM.
Yeah,
I know we need a striker. But right now, I think CDM is so crucial to this team.
Yeah, I think that defensive midfielder, I think that obviously covers the flaws for the centre backs as well, because like I think an Ndidi slotting in there would be like someone who cover that ground and it'd provide Lindelof and Maguire or whoever else at the back there with more solidarity in front of them.
They get no protection. Like you look at the second goal for Leicester and Fred and Matic in midfield. And Matic gets done with a 1-2, and then Fred is too far over. He can't cover. Do you know what I mean? It's just, we have no good defensive midfielders. Matic is the only one who knows how to play there, but he's washed even. Do you know, Fred, he's not even a footballer, let alone a defensive midfielder. McTominay isn't a defensive midfielder either. So, yeah, I agree with Adam. If we had to sign, if we had to plug one position in the summer, it would have to be DM.
Yeah, and like Adam mentioned Wilfred Ndidi as the defensive midfielder. Is there anyone else you think that could fill that role?
I like Ndidi, but I just think he doesn't have enough on the ball for us, because I think United already struggle to play out from the back when teams press us, and I think a lot of that is down to not having a DM who's able to take it under pressure like Fred wasn't able the weekend. But out of who I've watched, like Rice would probably be my first choice, because I think he's probably the most similar to Matic when he was younger. Like, he's not as smooth on the ball as Matic, but he's still comfy on it. You know, he doesn't need to. Like, his passing range isn't brilliant, but it doesn't need to be. You know, he just needs to be comfortable to take the ball under a bit of pressure and be comfy enough on it and strong enough on it to just shift it away from the trouble and then move it on to Pogba and Bruno and whoever. And I think he does he's as good as Ndidi defensively, but I just think he's better on the ball. So he has that explosion that he doesn't progress the ball brilliantly passing, but I do think he carries it well up the field.
Yeah, do you know what though? I was thinking about this today, and I thinking about defensive midfielders, and just like I was just doing my research for the transfer show earlier, and just popped into my head. I was like, when you love if Michael Carrick was in this team, he'd be the perfect link, like in that defensive midfield role. You know, he would literally be perfect.
It's actually worrying because, to be fair, whatever about Ali as a coach, but he is good at identifying what holes are in the team. Like, since he's come in, he does have a good player ID that he's able to pick out what players need to go, and he's able to pick out what positions we need to strengthen it. But the worrying thing is, since he's come in, I don't think we've been strongly linked with a defensive midfielder since he's come in. So whether maybe the club are just keeping on the wraps well, or maybe he just likes Fred McTominay. I don't know, but surely he
worrying.
doesn't. Surely he doesn't think that the two of them are good enough.
Yeah, that's worrying. If he thinks Fred and McTominay are good enough to take us to the next level, I'd really question him. Even though I love Ollie and all that, but I would really kind of I'd be in a bit down the dumps if that was the case. But obviously, there's coming to obviously look when you look at the running that we have. Like I mentioned earlier on, when you look at the likes of we've Spurs away, we've Liverpool at home, we've Leicester at home. And obviously, we have a few teams down near the bottom of the table, and we have the double header against Granada as well in the Europa League. Like in terms of confidence levels, it's going to come to you first, Shane. Like, where's your confidence at right now? Because we were like when you look at the results table before this game on Sunday, we had a decent enough record in the league, and obviously in terms of win-loss record, and we have that was our first domestic loss away from home in a long time. Like, where's your confidence level at now coming into this running after the international break?
It hasn't really changed, to be honest. Like, we are what we are. We'll do just enough to survive, but we won't exceed expectations really. I don't know if we'll finish second, but I don't really fuss it. Obviously, like, you want your team to finish as high as they can, so I would like us to finish second, but yeah, we will finish in the top 4. So fair enough. Like, that's probably we'll finish in the top 4, but I don't have much confidence in us winning the Europa, which is kind of annoying because I'm not really fussed. The only thing impressive about finishing top 4 is that I think he'll be the first manager since Fergie to finish in there 2 years in a row. But we do have a tough run, and I think we have the toughest running out of the teams in and around the Champions League. But I just think we'll do enough.
Yeah, I think we'll finish second. I think maybe Leicester could give us a run for our money if a couple of their injuries do come back, like Harvey Barnes and Maddison come back. I think they could give us a run. I think Chelsea have a tough 4 games left. They have a really tough running. So I think Chelsea are probably out of the question for catching us. I think Leicester could because they're only a point behind. But yeah. I still much think, and maybe I'm being overly positive, but I think second and Europa League is very doable still. I think when you look at the teams that are left in Europa League, if we're not beating them, there's no excuse, and that's I'm putting that down. There isn't any excuse for this football club anymore if that's the case.
I'm more confident of us finishing second than I am in us winning the Europa League, which is annoying because you're right. Like, we're the best team left in it, I think. So, like, we really should be winning it, but I just don't have any confidence in the team to do it in important games to actually win a trophy.
Yeah, and Adam, we all just mentioned there just with regards to the running that we have, and you look at the teams that are left. Like, is your expectations been lowered after Sunday's performance? Is it a case that was not a representation of this team and this team choking on the big occasion, and considering now we have a clear path, we know who we're playing in the semi-finals, we know who we could possibly play in the final, because the other route to the final, there's a lot of favourable draws there too, in terms of Arsenal and Villarreal are probably the 2 most likely teams we'll get from that side of the draw. Is your confidence level high at all? Even though
it's not high, mate, but the only reason I'm confident we will get top 4 is because of the inconsistencies of everyone else, and that's why I think we will get top 4. I think the gap is too big now. What's it? West Ham lost the chance to close that gap with their game in hand by drawing against Arsenal. So yeah, I don't see anyone. People will be looking at probably Chelsea as a team that they could probably catch and try and sneak in, but I think the top 3 is already done. I think we'll finish in there with City and Leicester. I think the gap 8 points now. I can't see United even dropping that many points without everyone else being absolutely brilliant to catch up to us. So I just think that's the only thing holding me in confidence going in, because I look at the players now and so many players out of form. So many players need to get sharper. Maybe the international break will help us. Martial, Pogba, Van der Beek getting game time, getting a bit more match sharpness, and then we may come back with a bang. When the chips are down, we usually do turn up for a few games. I think we're already there, but a few wins now in this next 9 games in the league, I think that's done and dusted.
Yeah.
Probably about 4. I'd say 4 wins out of 9 would probably nearly get us top 4. Like.
I mean, I'm looking at that. I'm confident in that way because Leicester's next 2 games is City and West Ham. Everyone's playing everyone, and there's just too many games for teams to catch us. Everyone is going to drop points, and you know what? If we got, I mean, none of our games are a given. We know that because we've dropped points against the bottom 2 teams in the league who are already relegated. So it doesn't matter who you play. But I just feel like everyone else is going to drop points as well. As for the Europa League, I can see us getting past Granada, and you just never know. You never know if the league is done and dusted, and we can concentrate on then for the last few weeks of the season. Then fair enough, we may be able to give it a good crack. But I'm not confident. I'm not confident at all, mate, because I've seen the same tendencies coming in again. You talked about the mental side of the game, and these players now are on completely burnt out. And what will happen after this international break, we have to wait and see. But I think we'll get a good idea if they're up for the fight when we play Brighton in a couple of weeks, mate. I think all will be revealed then because it's 3 games a week all the way till the end of the season, isn't it?
Yeah, and Brighton are fighting for their lives as well. They've been slowly creeping into a relegation battle as well.
Result against Newcastle, though, to save them the other day.
Yeah. Even though still like relegation battle, it's not over till really it's over. Like, you know, like obviously Fulham they're fighting near them as well. Newcastle as well are fighting there. So for me, I kind of hope United kind of turn a corner against Brighton because last game, like, look, we were lucky to get the 3 points. What did we score in the 98th minute with a penalty? Like that was.
We scored 10 minutes after the final race.
Do you remember? I got a notification off SofaScore that day telling me it's full time 2-2. Even though I was watching the game, do you know what I mean? And then Bruno got the penalty, and we remember our group chat that day. All the rival fans were crying. That was hilarious. I boiled a lot of piss that day. But kind of obviously, I suppose when you look at the Europa League, you look at the semi-final. Let's say, right, all things considered, not showing Granada any disrespect, right? Because look, they're a decent team. They're not they wouldn't be where they are in the Europa League if they weren't any bit decent. But when you look at the Roma and Ajax, I was going to ask you quickly there, just both of you guys, who would you prefer to get? I'll come to you first, Shane.
I think Ajax are better than Roma from what I've seen this year, but I almost think Ajax would be a better matchup for us because Roma would sit in more and we'd struggle, where I think Ajax would be kind of similar to when we got them in Europe a few years ago in the final, and they'd kind of be somewhat naive and they'd come out and want to play on the front foot, and we kind of be able to just hit them on the break. So I'd probably go Ajax just because I think it's a better matchup for us.
Yeah, for me, I'm in the same boat. I think Ajax would be the more favourable draw, just because, again, as you said, they'd be naive, they'd come out and play football, they'd play a high line. I think we'd absolutely, like, I think on the counter we do very well against them. You know,
we tend form. I think they've won 20 games in a row or something recently, I think.
Yeah, but you look at Roma, like this. Why I don't want Roma. Chris Smalling is at that club. Mkhitaryan's still at that club. You know, they'll have something to prove against Oli. Well, I suppose not so much Mkhitaryan, but Smalling definitely will, because Oli got rid of him. You know, so and Roma playing like
at the moment either.
Yeah, so when you look at that, when you consider that, guys, like I think they're a team you want to avoid because they're a defensive team. They sit back. Do you know what I mean? And Italian opposition defensively, like you'll always come up against them. They'll always sit back and be defensively resolute. And again, like when you have 2 former players with something to prove, it always could come back and bite you in the arse. So for me, I'm definitely saying Ajax. Adam, are you in the same boat? Would you prefer maybe to knock the former players out?
I'm not worried. We should be able to beat any one of these teams left in this competition, mate. I don't want to lower my standards too much to be concerned about what's left in this competition. But yeah, I mean, any of them, mate, right now. I mean, the only team that beats us in this, I think, is Arsenal because of Arteta's voodoo on Ole. That's my only fear.
Yeah, I think Arsenal beat us, definitely. If we meet Arsenal, I think they knock us out.
I'm telling you, if Arsenal beat us, this channel is probably going to go on a hiatus for 6 months. because we have a couple of Arsenal fans on this channel, and we've been giving them awful slander for the whole season. And if we manage to get the Europa League final and get bet by them, don't expect any content till 2022. That's all I'll say to you guys. But anyway, since we're in international break, and I suppose when you look at Manchester United, there's not really much news with Manchester United at the moment. It's kind of all quiet the last kind of couple of days. I brought up a little topic to both the lads because Adam done something like this recently a couple of months ago, and it was very interesting to see both sides in terms of teams picked. I want to see both of these guys with this debate, because I think there's no two better guys in terms of Manchester United knowledge, in terms of, eras of Manchester United. Both people have lived through these eras. I've got the guys to pick two all-time Manchester United teams from two different eras. So I've given Shane his era. So I've given Shane between the early 2000s to present, and I've given Adam between the 80s and 90s. Now, I looked at the squads in terms of these two eras, two very hard eras to pick from. So much choice, so much quality. And, obviously, when you look at all-time great Manchester United teams, you look at both of these eras, they're all massively great teams. You talk about early, or pre-Premier League, and then obviously Premier League time. And if you're talking all-time 11s in English football, many of these players would begin them all together. So what I've done is I've given Shane early 2000s to the present, and I've given Adam 80s to 90s United. And so I'm going to come to Adam first, with terms of his all-time United 11 for them two eras. Now, obviously, if Adam picks teams that overlap from the 90s into 2000s, then they're out of the question for Shane, and Shane will have to improvise. And so, for example, I'm just going to throw one out there. If Adam, let's say, picked Nicky Butt, I'm only throwing his name out there because I know he's probably not going to get in. So I'm throwing Nicky Butt. So if Adam picked Nicky Butt from the 90s, then Shane can't pick him. That's just the way it is. Shane will have to improvise. So Adam, I'm going to come to you first. Your team. So you're tasked with between 80s and 90s United. Give us your 1 to 11.
Goalkeepers, Peter Schmeichel, obviously. Then at the back, I'm going to go Irwin at left back. It's a no-brainer for me. I'm then going to go Gary Neville at right back. Then I'm going to mix it up a bit here with some of my old school knowledge. I'm going to go, what do I want in here now? What do I want? You know what? Yeah, I'm going to completely mix it. So I'm going to go Jaap Stam and Paul McGrath as my two centre backs. So get past them. Get past them if you can. Midfield, I'm going to go 80s and 90s style here, so I'm going to go straight out 4-4-2. So my midfield is going to be centre mids are going to be Brian Robson and Roy Keane. Then I'm going to go wings. Giggs on the left. I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to go Andre Kanchelskis on the right.
I called it. I was like, get into this team like the guy. 90s team, Kanchelskis gets into that. Yeah.
Guy's a legend. Guy's an absolute legend. Flying Ukrainian. Oh, man. Love that guy. Up front. Oh, God. This is a tough one. It's going to be King Eric alongside... Who else am I having in there? Who else? Eric and... It could have been Cole and York, couldn't it? It could have been, but... Yeah, I'm gonna go Cantona and Andy Cole. And I'm just gonna go with them. Could have brought anyone in there really, but yeah, fancy them too.
Did Mark Hughes ever come to your mind in terms of
forwards? He was there. Hughes at Sparky was there. You know what I mean? Stapleton's there.
And
there's a few.
Sick, man. Like, I don't think he actually gets mentioned. You know, when people talk about it, he doesn't get mentioned nearly as much. Like, obviously, he was before my time, but anytime I'm watching the old games on MUTV,
Frankie's, he was absolute monster of a man. He was just an absolute beast. And but whoever Shane picks there, they'll probably walk out on the pitch and just shit themselves by looking at that United team there anyway, because he's got the soft era. But that team there, I mean, count the leaders in that team. Oh dear God, Matt, if you were slacking in that game, can you imagine? Can you imagine the stick you would get if you weren't pulling your weight in that game with that team?
Oh man, imagine, yeah. Like imagine, and you look at that back four. Like I'm just looking at, for example, like you've Irwin, you've Yap Stam, Paul McGrath, and then you've Gary Neville at right back, and then you've Peter Schmeichel behind them. Like, do you know what I mean? Like when you consider like the leadership and the characters. Like I know Roy Keane always harps on about it, but the character in that team is unbelievable. Now, it'd be interesting to see who Shane picks with his team, because he is, I suppose, characters of some sort. There's also a lot of quality, a lot of flair probably going to be in his team. Just before Shane says his team, and what we're going to do with this as well is that I'm going to clip up both of the guys' teams, and then we're going to run a poll as to who would win the game, and then obviously we'll have the final results then on our watch along for the Ireland match tomorrow, which I think that'll be more exciting than the game itself. So, the results of this poll will be more exciting than the game. So we'll throw that in there tomorrow. But Shane, obviously you're tasked with early 2000s to present. And so again, obviously Gary Neville and Roy Keane are out of the equation.
Yeah,
in terms of,
I thought I'd lose out on more people. Like, it's only Keane. I think Keane is the only player I had in that I can't put in now. Because I've already picked him, so not too bad.
So give me your 1 to 11 from early 2000s to present.
De Gea in goal. A lot of people probably say Van der Sar, but I just think De Gea was better, to be honest. I think De Gea was just unlucky he wasn't playing in as good a team as Van der Sar was. So De Gea in goal.
Are you going like De Gea then from like 2013 to maybe 2018, is it?
Yeah, but like De Gea had like 5 world. To be fair, De Gea's finished now, but he still had 5 world-class years at United, which is the same as Van der Sar. Van der Sar was at United 5 years, I think. Do you know what I mean? So it's not as if Van der Sar was better for longer at United than De Gea was. They were both had the same amount of good years. I think De Gea's years were just better. I'd have Raphael right back and Evra left back. I'd have obviously Rio and Vidic to 2 centre halves. I think 3 of that back 4, like, it's obviously you can't argue anyone else. I have Scholes in the middle, and I did have Keane. I had Keane, but obviously I can't pick him now, so it's obviously going to be between Carrick and Pogba, but I'd probably put Carrick in instead, just because I think it's a better fit with Scholes. But I
was waiting for you to pick Pogba. Like, you're literally Pogba fucking FC, like.
But yeah, like I think Carrick would just be a better match. It would be a better pairing with Scholes. I mean, he was a brilliant pairing. They played together loads of times. So Carrick and Scholes in the middle. I have Beckham right wing, Ronaldo left wing, and then it's 4-4-1-1. So I have Rooney number 10 and Van Nistelrooy up front then. So
both of these teams are solid. The only thing that worries me now, right? Do you know your team, Shane? The only thing that worries me here with Van Nistelrooy. Remember the way like Martin Keown and all them bastards from Arsenal used to like to corner him and absolutely make his life a misery. Could you see Stam and Paul McGrath maybe doing that Van Nistelrooy?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, they all got on his back. But then what happened a few months later when he scored a penalty, then the unbeaten run? So we don't worry. We won't worry about his mentality. He can take it. He's a strong boy. But yeah, no, Adam has a good team, but my team would just like they'd run him off the field. Do you know what I mean? They're faster, they're fitter, they're stronger. Do you know? And he has a lot of leaders in his team, a lot of fellas that are loud, but once they get tired because they won't be able to get a kick of the ball, they start getting onto each other and be giving out to each other, and the heads will go. You know, the heads will drop after the Rooney scores his third of the game. Ronaldo gets his second.
There's no heads dropping in my team. We've got men in my team.
Yeah, do you know what? These are 2 very good teams. And to be fair, I'm going to be neutral tonight with this because obviously, you know, I was on Adam's show and I got to pick a team with Saeed and Owen at the time, and we fucked up because we put Aaron Wan-Bissaka at right back and we completely forgot there was other like right backs there. Like obviously you picked Raphael.
I'd have Wes
Wes
Brown
Brown,
instead
like,
of Wan-Bissaka.
yeah, like we picked Wan-Bissaka that time, and there was obviously more choice. And I completely forgot about the time. John O'Shea didn't even get a mention to even slot him in at right back because like what he done, like like he's Irish. He was he done a job in nearly every position for United. Like in that era, like he played right back, centre back, left back, centre midfield. Even went in goal against Spurs.
Can I just say something about John O'Shea? Did you see Jamie O'Hara's tweet, and he was asking whose career would you prefer to have, John O'Shea's or Harry Kane's? And like, I definitely would prefer to have John O'Shea's, to be honest, because the trophies is one, and he probably has more iconic moments as well. Like, realistically, like he has the dink against Arsenal, he nutmegged Luis Figo. Like, does Kane have any like individual moments that come to mind like that? Because I can't think of that. Oh, he scored a brace against Bournemouth, to be fair. But that's not iconic to me.
Yeah, like I think maybe on an international stage, obviously Kane is the iconic moment when you think about like the World Cup in 2018. Like he scored a lot of goals, won the Golden Boot there. But like,
but didn't John O'Shea get the winner against the world champions?
No, equaliser. Shane Long got the winner.
Fucking different, don't matter.
But yeah, like look, I suppose you look at like trajectory in terms of like silverware. I'd much rather have John O'Shea's career probably in terms of silverware and success than Harry Kane's mediocrity at Tottenham. But enough about that small club from North London. Small club from North London. Enough about them guys. But I'm gonna leave this down to the lads in the comments. I will have a poll sent out tonight on the Weekly Armchair Kickoff Podcast YouTube channel. I will have both Adam's and Shane's teams clipped up in full for you and posted up, so you guys can decide as to which team would win the game and what scoreline it would be. And then we will have the results tomorrow on the watch along. Tomorrow night on the Weekly Armchair Kickoff Podcast.
My team would win 4-1. That's my predicted scoreline.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will leave that down to the lads in the comments, and also to check out at Weekly Armchair on Twitter. And that's where obviously we'll have the results, and I will announce them tomorrow on the watch along for the Ireland game against Serbia tomorrow night. Adam, we just lost Adam there. Adam's connection just dropped out there. But that's literally just the end of the show, guys. And so thanks very much to Shane. Thanks very much, Adam, for coming on the show today. The link for Adam's show, Adam Match TV, is in the video description. Do check that out. Do subscribe to his channel. And also to subscribe to the Weekly Armchair Kickoff as well. We have a lot of content coming this week. Sean is back tomorrow at 6:30 with the London Lowdown. He's going to be going through something similar to what I've done today in terms of Chelsea, in terms of transfers and stuff like that. So do check that out tomorrow. And if you have a YouTube account that has a certain name on it, do get in the comments on that show, because we need to get that bastard clipped up. So do absolutely do that as well. And look, do check out our watch along tomorrow. I alongside another couple of Ireland fans will be watching the Ireland match live on YouTube tomorrow, and hopefully for the first time in 7 games, Ireland score a goal on the watch along.
Is that the playoff tomorrow for
World Cup qualifiers?
Or the qualifier? Yeah, I fucking hate watching Ireland, but fuck no.
Yeah. So look, let's hope we can actually score a goal, because you haven't scored one in 7 games. But look, thanks very much to everyone for watching. And look, as always, we'll see you later.